there is a signal developing very much specific to Bitcoin, which has in prior bull markets indicated a major low in progress, or in the case of bear markets has indicated that Bitcoin was getting ready for a much more significant pullback, and that is going to be the focus of today's video. However, before we get into this one, I should let you know that you can still join the second cohort for the Krown School in the link in the description below. It'll start in about I think 9 days from now. Actually, sorry, this is the wrong page right here, but it's in the links in the description below, and we'll get to that perhaps a little bit later. And again, it is free with an exchange account. All right, sweet. Let's jump right into this one, starting off with the big one of the day as I get my notes set right on over here. Okay, so this is the 5-day time frame. This is the HPDRO indicator, and as you can see, it is down around this extreme low level of -70. So the HPDRO indicator is like directional volatility, kind of, but basically we don't see this level hit all that often, even in like extremely bearish markets. And anytime that we have seen it hit in bull markets, it has indicated, as we said at the beginning of this video, major low. So for example, the last few times that we've actually seen it hit off were, of course, in 2022 during the last bear market. And you can see that while it did catch the macro low when it did print below that level, in the prior dump offs, it was actually a signal of continuation for much more lower lows. In fact, sorry, my voice is getting all messed up in the background. But when we specifically look at this signal in prior bull markets, it has preceded some pretty important major lows for Bitcoin. So we can see back on over here in the 2019 rally, it did signal this major low before a nice pump to the upside. Same thing over here. You know, this was actually a 40 to 50% move, even though it doesn't look like much on the charts. Of course, in 2018, these were all bear market signals, so it was continuation of the downside. But in 2017, when Bitcoin was in a bull market, you can see that all of these reads, these red vertical bars, were met with extreme lows. Sorry, not extreme lows, but major lows for Bitcoin before Bitcoin, you know, moved significantly to the upside. So the question is Bitcoin in a bull market or a bear market right now? And I think that question, I mean, is probably rather obvious, but at the end of the day, we will see this next time frame officially close in 1 day, so that would be tomorrow night's closure. And assuming that it does close here, then we will have that fire off, and we really have to ask ourselves, okay, if Bitcoin is in a bull market long term, then this should be the low. This should be the low. And this correlates incredibly well with the 5-day volatility versus stochastic momentum setup that we've been looking at way back on over here, because remember, this one is kind of on like a schedule right now, as it is getting pretty much to the average amount of days that we would expect for this to play out. If you're not familiar with this setup right here and you're new on this channel, which you're probably not, but if you are, just revisit some of the videos from this past week as we go over much more detail on this one. But remember that this one on average takes about 35 days to play out. It's going to be day number 35 tomorrow. So, you know, looking for this one to continue to new lows from here is going to become less and less likely when that time transpires. And we've already seen, you know, about a 25% move to the downside from the high anyways. So technically speaking, that would kind of fulfill your first sort of area of interest. You know, it's not perfect in this particular example, but a lot of the short setups are kind of like that, at least from what I've seen. So here's the thing. We see that this signal is developing over here, while simultaneously, damn it, you bastard, get the fuck out of my internet. Get off my internet, you ad. We can see that the fear and greed index over here is printing extreme fear for the first time. I mean, for the first time, there's not even a first time, because the data that we see here, actually, no, we can't get the max. When was the last time we saw it this low? It was back here. This was actually 1 year ago in September. It was pretty damn low at about 40. It is lower now at 25, obviously. Before that, the only times that we've really seen it, you know, lower than that were basically on extreme lows in the prior bear market, actually. So that is of significance, and it does kind of correlate well with, hey, if you do believe that Bitcoin is in a bull market, then we very likely have seen the low of this move. If you are thinking that Bitcoin is switching around into a full-on bearish market, then it's actually a continuation signal. But as we went over with this particular setup over here, the more time that transpires without Bitcoin really making new lows, really between now and tomorrow night's closure, the more and more like that this probably is the low, actually. So as Bitcoin kind of continues to churn its wheels and fill out this range. The 5-day range, as we've been looking at, is still very, very accurately summarized, in my opinion, by the HPDR indicator, showing that the top side of the 61.8 level is our rejection thus far of this week's high, and of course the bottom side of the 78.6 level right here at just above $54,000. Likely range lows for right now as well, meaning that as long as Bitcoin's above there, we can't really even expect continuation to the downside just yet. But of course, if things are going to fall apart, you're kind of looking for it to happen today. If the bottom really is going to fall apart. Sorry, I don't know, there's like some shit stuck in the back of my throat. Anyways, yes, so let me just make sure that I hit my notes over here. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Yep, we got that. There's also one very obvious thing here. Assuming that the 5-day time frame closes something like this tomorrow, we can use the high of the 5-day, which is 59,550, as a nice reversal point, meaning that if Bitcoin can trade back above that high, that prior high from 59,550, very likely the lows are in, or at least a major bounce is coming, and you're probably going to see a move towards $64,000, something like that. But for right now, you can see the wheels turning in the background. We were wanting to see, if you were bearish, you wanted to see continuation this week. We have not seen it just yet. So, the other side of the case is starting to get strengthened a lot more. I would still personally, just based off my rules, still wait and hold on, just to see like full on confirmations. But hey, as soon as Saturday passes, and assuming that Bitcoin hasn't really deviated, too much from this current range, you're going to start to see me switch around to being having a more bullish tune on this. Until then, technically speaking, I still have to go with the probabilities, and it's not over just yet. 1.5 days is a long time. To be fair in trading land. So yeah. Anyways, moving on from there, let's get into the daily price statistics. We can see that Friday, slight favor of negative closures versus positive closures. But again, we're mostly interested in the average percentage gains for those winning and losing days, and we can see that on average, for the winning, they're kind of the same actually here. It's a little bit over 2%, about 2.25%. So we can come up with a range of likely range for today to the upside, probably a boundary basically around this week's closing highs at about 59,500. And to the downside, kind of the same thing actually, the closing lows of this week as well, at just below $56,000. So, what does that imply? Well, it implies we're probably going to see today continue to range. Friday is the third most volatile day of the week. So it's kind of right there in the middle of the pack. So, would we really be expecting like a major move on Friday? I guess it's possible, but it's a little bit less likely. Wednesday is the day that we'd really be wanting to see that. And on Wednesday, we saw Bitcoin do fuck all. It is what it is, man. But again, that kind of does bode a little bit better, again, for the BULOS. The more time that's just spent here without really closing on new lows, the more and more likely this is going to flip around to be favoring the BULOS here. But still, a little bit more time to go. All right, sweet. So we got that. All right, let me get into the next chart right here. I did want to mention, however, that if you do want to be bearish, there isn't the worst. I mean, it's actually kind of a decent case for today. I'm curious to see how this will work out. I don't have a full-on opinion of this because we haven't really seen like strong correlations between traditional markets and Bitcoin recently. It seems to me that traditional markets are, they've obviously been very, very strong, but when they move to the upside, Bitcoin doesn't really do much. Seems to be uncorrelated to the upside, but to the downside, it is correlated, is what I've seen. So I'm curious to see how this works out, because we do have one massive bearish engulfing dildo right here from yesterday's closure, coming off of that CPI release, and we do see that not only is it going to be one bearish engulfing dildo, but we're going to see daily momentum turn to the downside, and actually have a little bit of divergence here as well on the daily stochastic oscillator. I'm sure if we go to our RSI as well, which I'll bring up right here, we probably have something relatively similar. Okay, don't know why this shitcoin is on my charts. Get it off my face. But let's see. Yeah, it is indeed in there. Now on the other side, you already have potential for hidden bullish. I mean, this This market's fucking crazy. We should really be trading traditional markets. I mean, you don't even need to trade, just fucking hold it. It's crazy. But yeah, here's the thing. It is going to be the weekly closure later today. And if we go to the weekly time frame, this is shaping up to be a bit of a rejection as of right now. So I'm curious to see, like I said, I don't have a strong opinion on this. I'm curious to see if traditional markets do have a even just a short-term top here, and maybe like a 5 let's see how much percentage correction this would be. Yeah, 5% correction. How will that affect Bitcoin and cryptos? Well, I suspect not well. That would be my guess. But of course, it's a long day left to go. But assuming that things do close something like this, with NQ below like 20,500, that is, I mean, we're probably going to open up on a pullback next week and maybe the week after that. And it'll be very interesting to see how cryptos respond to that, namely Bitcoin. So that's the big focus of today. Again, this last idea right here is probably, is more of an idea rather than like a hard analysis. But again, going back to this chart right here, tomorrow's a big focus, especially if we see, if we see Bitcoin close below like $56,000, I'd say that would probably be good enough for me to continue to remain cautious today. But well, it's just $1,000 above where Bitcoin is at right now. So we'll see if it can hold it or not. I suspect that we probably won't see that happen. But hey, at the end of the day, my opinion's irrelevant. It's all about the numbers. And if that does happen, then hey, well, I'm going to continue to be leaning towards caution here. So long day left to go. Tomorrow we should have, or actually technically not tomorrow, but on Sunday's video, we'll have clarity on this situation regarding the 5-day. And that will likely, or not likely, that will influence the next week of analysis following that. If the probability of this being a major bottom is greatly strengthened, or if it is not. And so that'll be the things that I'm watching for today. And I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off on this particular video. As always, I want to leave you with a very uplifting video, as this man over here is going to reveal his sexual preferences, which we all need to know about, and I will just let it play for itself.
For your information, maybe I'm not into women either. Men, women, children, y'all. I don't care about any of y'all. I date none of y'all. Got it?
Message received. And with that said, I'd like to wish you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow.